Hey, what's up, guys? Legal Bro here today talking about, does a church Lambo in their mansion qualify under their not-for-profit status? Let's take a look.
All right, so
Not
what is
really.
this residential center?
Oh, this is a place that the ministry owns. Well, not own. We're in the process of buying that. Yeah, we don't
So are
own
you
it yet.
renting to buy, or are you...
Yeah, we're leasing to buy.
Now, look, my first thought is he's got the temperament of a pastor. Very nice sounding voice, very persuasive. Until I get to the clip of the absolutely sickest pool and backyard that I've ever seen. Look at this. I got to find out where this church meets every week.
You have that as an asset of $2,844,500. So do you own it?
I just answered that, didn't I? I said we didn't own it.
Okay,
We're
where
leasing to
where
buy
does
it.
the... I'm sorry?
We're leasing to buy it. Did you? I thought we just.
All right, but
Yeah.
you have listed it as an asset worth $2,844,000.
Oh, that should be more of a liability.
All right, so where does the
Wow. Pastor knows his balance sheet pretty well. The fact that he is able to say, yep, this is more of this and less of this means he knows his books. Okay.
number $2,844,000 come from on your
That's the
asset and liability?
That's, I guess, the appraisal value of the home or the residential center. Yeah.
Is it a home?
He already made the first mistake, folks. You hear him. Yeah, the home of a residential center.
No, it's a residential center. We use it.
All right,
For
so
We... Did you hear him kind of mumble under his breath? We use it as a residential...
you're saying it's not something you own, but you have it listed as an asset of $2.8 million.
That's probably a mistake. Like I say, it probably should be a liability.
What goes on at the residential center?
It is really it's a gathering place for our ministry where I bring in different leaders and also the staff that we have as a place of maybe resort and teaching and training.
Resort?
Yeah, teaching. A resort where we teach and train.
All right. We gotta stop right there. If you're prepping this pastor for his deposition and he ever uses the term home, resort, whatever, look, you can't coach your client, you can't coach a witness, but for God's sake, you can't say that this place is a not-for-profit residential center and in the same breath say it's a resort for teaching. It's not a resort. It looks like Wet Republic, for God's sakes. Anyone ever been there? Check it out. It's solid. What do you guys think? We got the house up front here. That's got to be where confession is. Over here in the left corner, I'm guessing maybe that's the room where, everybody usually gets coffee and donuts. I don't know. Upstairs, that's got to be maybe where CCD is. I'm not sure. Backyard, resort center. Pretty nice church, folks.
On November 29th, 2013, JMMI paid over $6,000 to Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
What would that be for?
Well, this is for clothes concerning my TV ministry as well.
Or you have to wear Louis Vuitton?
Oh, it don't matter what name it is. One is clothing are allocated to us for ministry purposes as well.
What do you mean they're allocated to you?
In a media ministry.
In a what?
Media ministry.
Yeah.
Okay, or on the road when I'm always traveling and using my clothes, I'm sweating through them. So I'm needing new clothes also for television ministry through the years. So
And so you use ministry money to buy your wardrobe.
outfit.
Your
It's allocated more towards ministry apparel.
Does that go into what your income is?
I'm sorry. I don't
Do you
understand.
show that in your income that you got Louis Vuitton clothing?
No, that's not. That
That doesn't show.
because it don't go there.
It don't go there. I don't know
no.
what that means.
It don't belong there. That's out of place.
What's out of place?
You don't get taxed on things like that.
It's a pretty bold assertion. I wish I knew what pastor's name was, but he's saying that the gift of the Louis Vuitton clothing looks like it's valued around $6,000. You don't get taxed on it, so therefore he doesn't have to produce it as income. So therefore he doesn't have to count it toward his income. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not about to give any tax advice, but you sure about that, Pastor?
So it's not.
Louis Vuitton.
Well, you can call whatever you want.
So June 2014, you spent $3,500 by JMMI to Versace in the Bahamas. Yes?
I'm sure that's right. If it shows there.
And that was for clothing for you?
Yes, probably. Yes, most likely.
So you don't see that there's any problem when you're ministering to the poor, the sick, the needy, to be appearing in Louis Vuitton and Versace?
Well, that ain't something I purchase all the time.
Well, it looks like you did several times in...
I mean, I'm a very frugal person when it comes to this. I go to the right places.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The ministry is frugal. You guys getting decked out in Versace and Louis, and I don't know. I mean, I think the lawyer's got a decent point, all right? I mean, if you're offering services to the sick and the needy, and instead the money's going towards your own wardrobe and lavish goods and travel.
To get a lot of suits, and if I get some from those places, you don't see that.
I don't see Macy's.
No, you don't see that, because Macy's don't have the kind of suits that I wear.
Macy's doesn't have the kind of suits that I wear. He's onto something.
But what I'm saying is, this Louis Vuitton things, you don't see that in our charges all the time.
2013 and 14, JMMI spent over $30,000 in your clothes. Does that sound about right?
What year was that?
13 and 14.
Oh God, yes, because I was traveling so much and sweating through all my clothes. Exactly. That probably wasn't enough, because just have so.
But they have to be top of the line, expensive ones.
No, they're not top of the line clothes.
Louis Vuitton's not top of the line?
Those not where I get my suits from.
Well, you got something from them spent thousands and thousands.
Well, the belts are more lasting, so that's good.
Come on, you're buying belts for $5,000?
No, I mean, multiple belts. Not
August 2014, you went to the Gucci store in Troy and purchased something?
Yeah,
What
like
would
I
that
say,
be?
it probably was a belt or maybe shoes. I don't
Belt
know.
or shoes?
But I don't usually buy my suits from these very expensive places. I just get the things that I invest in will last longer, such as belts.
So you got to go
or
to
shoes.
Gucci or places like that.
Well, no, I buy those things from there because they have a better TV appearance for the belt.
For
and
asking for money
shoe.
from the poor?
No, it's,
You paid $1,000 to Monsieur Clothing in New York, and then another $715. Whose clothing was that for?
where's that now? I don't understand.
August 1st, October 28th, total of over $1,700 to Monsieur Clothing in New York.
I don't know about that.
All right, you testified at your last deposition that JMMI owns 3 vehicles, a BMW, a Mercedes.
So in most civil cases, you only get a certain number of witnesses. In the cases that I do, life insurance disputes, consumer class actions, injury cases, you usually get capped at around 10 people. Now, 10 people are 10 parties. You get each party for up to 7 hours of deposition. You can depose them again in some instances, quite rare, if you find other things after you've conducted their deposition. So if you find out something about Pastor that you didn't know before, you can ask the court for a limited amount of time to then conduct his deposition for a second time. I think what the attorney that is conducting the deposition is getting at is they may have uncovered some additional things that they didn't maybe cover in the first depo.
Mercedes and a Bentley.
Yes.
Have you driven those cars?
Yes.
Is Michelle?
No. We usually have a driver.
The 3.
Then the ministry name.
They're all in JMMI.
I think everything except the Bentley.
Whose name is the Bentley in?
It's in DeWin McDeal.
I have a question, just from a, you minister the poor and the sick and all that. Isn't it a little offensive to be driving around in a Bentley and a Mercedes to people that really, are impoverished and sick and ill and AIDS and drug rehab? Isn't it a little offensive to sort of being show-placing what you have?
Well, dear one, I don't showplace to people, and I'm not in
Bentley.
that car. You don't see me driving around in that car every day. I don't do that.
But it's in the ministry.
He doesn't drive around the Bentley every day because he has 2 other cars. Oh my God.
Everybody in the ministry sees you. You said you drive it.
I haven't before. You just asked me have I drove it, but it ain't something I drive every day or even every year. I don't do that. I have drivers who pick up my guests, my high-profile guests. No,
But do you see my point that people that are suffering and giving you whatever their last dime is and in donations and drug habits, to have them see you drive around your high-profile guests in a Bentley or Mercedes might be offensive and hurtful even.
It could be offensive if they didn't know my life, but they know my life. It would be offensive to someone like you who's trying to make it bad, but,
So it's
because your
important you have a
attitude,
Bentley.
it ain't really important. That don't make me.
Then you also have
So take a look at the interaction that just happened. You get that in depositions, right? The witness, in this case the pastor, is doing a little bit of back and forth, right? It's not part of his testimony per se, right? It's not like he's answering the question, but he says, you know what? The ministry understands me, but people like you don't. The other thing that you see happen occasionally is the witness asking the lawyer to answer a question. Lawyer asks a question, what were you doing on this day? Tell me about this. And they say, I don't know. Why don't you tell me about this? Or you say to a company, isn't it true that you can't violate X law? I don't know. Why don't you tell me about that law? In a deposition setting, the lawyer is the only one permitted to ask the questions. That's why she's not really engaging with him. So the pastor can continue his deposition, even directing some of the traffic back to the lawyer, but ultimately the lawyer isn't going to engage with him.
a Land Rover that you lease.
Range Rover.
Range Rover.
Yes.
The fact that the pastor is saying, no, it's not a Land Rover. It's a Range, baby.
Not a Land Rover, it's a Range Rover.
Which is the better one? I don't even know.
I don't know. They're just cars, that's all.
All right, then there's a series of documents that total almost $50,000 to limo land in 2013 and 14. You have to answer yes.
Yes.
Okay. What?
Now that's important. You always hear that from the court reporter. We don't want to hear any ums and ahs, right? So everything that they're doing. So you got to remember, folks, our justice system is not a gotcha, and it's certainly not one of those where one party keeps the evidence away from the other party. Everybody in a case, whether it's civil or criminal, is going to be, the only thing that they may not be entitled to are things that are either work product or attorney-client privilege. Otherwise, it's discoverable. Now, the way TV makes it sound is that you get to trial and we've got all these witnesses and this evidence coming in that people have no idea what it is, and everybody's shocked and ooh and ah, and the jury is like leaned back and super engaged. No, we already know what Pastor's going to say about all of this. He's already had his deposition. They videotape it because it sometimes shows better. And what's going to happen if Pastor goes to trial is they're going to ask Pastor the same questions, and if his answer changes, well, now they can discredit Pastor. They can say, well, you told us before that this was X when really it was Y, or didn't you know that this was technically a liability or that this was technically an asset? You seemed like you knew that. There are so many different things that you learn at depositions and in discovery, and then the final product is that trial where it all comes together. But all of this is well known amongst the parties before and by the time they get to trial.
What was that for?
That was to cut the Mercedes into a limo.
It was to cut the Mercedes.
Yes.
Okay. What was that for?
That was to cut the.
When I don't even know.
I don't know. They're just cards. So.
All right, then there's a series of documents that total almost $50,000
Limo
to
land.
limo land in 2013 and 14. You have to answer yes instead.
Yes.
of- Okay, what was that for?
That was to cut the Mercedes into a limo.
It was to cut the Mercedes.
Into a
And who needs that?
no, that's for guests.
It's for guests and for you
It's mostly
when
for
you're
guests.
entertaining guests?
Yes.
When you're entertaining.
Well, I'm not. When we have guests come in, high-profile people, we
So pastor has said that a couple of times. They got high-profile guests coming in. I would imagine the congregation's pretty strong. I mean, if you were going to church every day at a mansion, you get picked up in a Mercedes limo, you got your pastor driving around a Benz. I mean, I'd like to see the quality of the service. Who knows? Maybe pastor's got a good following. Maybe he speaks the truth of the Lord. I don't know. All right, if you like that video of Apostle Taylor, like and subscribe below. If you want to comment on if Apostle Taylor's gifts should have been taxable or non-taxable, let me know below. If you have any other videos that you want us to comment on, go ahead and leave it down below. Until next time, love y'all. Legal Bro out.